stands for life over vanity every time. I attribute it to that because success is often measured in terms of numbers of things that you have, things that you're striving to get, financial numbers, etc. And for a lot of people, life can revolve heavily around themselves. But for me, love is about living life over any commercial or sort of affluent lifestyle, you know. If I'm in love with somebody and I love them, because they're two different things. To love somebody can have a much bigger spectrum, you know, you can love somebody in many different ways, but to be in love with somebody is to constantly crave them, to want them with you, to speak to them, to miss them, when you're only just being away from them for just a matter of hours. Very different things. And for the first time in my life, I am currently experiencing both things together, but I'll get back to that in a minute. If you truly love somebody, and again this is just my opinion, then any kind of affluent, success or commercial viability within your life becomes second to a much bigger primary function, and that is to take on board the little things that people often take for granted, because life is a big picture, but to make that big picture it takes many little things. And if you cherish those little things, and you really live your life with somebody as much as you can, and you take advantage of what little time we have together, to me that truly is love. So, for me, love breaks down as life over vanity every time. As far as my history with love goes, as I've mentioned in my last video, and I think I touched upon in the tag video, when I was 17 I was a late bloomer to the wonderful world of women, and I actually think it has served me much better for being a late bloomer. As a male who was raised by two women, I think that taught me to respect women and to cherish their time and their opinion, and I think it's something that is very important to me, and I think that's something that I've always kind of projected and put forth in romantic endeavours. I can honestly say I've only been in love twice. Once was the very first time, and the second is now, but the two are very different. And I'm only going to touch on my first time very briefly, because I tend not to dwell too much on the past. I'm more of a outlooking person. That's not always the case, and there's been times when I've been very introvert and kind of look back and overanalyze my past, but I think because I'm happier now than I may have ever been in my life, I tend not looking for it. So, at 19 I first moved to university, and it was pretty early on, within my first few weeks, and we got on extremely well, to the point where I often referred to her as the female version of me, which at that time was an idyllic thing. It was almost like I'd found my match, but the truth is, you know, it's great. It's really great to have so many things in common with the person that you love, but you also need things that distance you and sort of separate you a little bit, because if you become too entangled, then you become too similar of a personality. If like you match on every single level, then things just begin to oppose one another. And that was very much the case. That was very much why that relationship for me broke down, was because we were too similar, and, you know, it caused a lot of arguments and a lot of fights, and it was a hard time, and I really got myself really badly hurt. I'm not afraid to admit I had my heart broken really badly at that time. Even though the relationship wasn't that long, it kind of messed me up pretty bad, but it is also become a huge learning curve and a huge tool for me, because it has learned to adapt and to realise that I can be prone to this. You know, it kind of makes you more, it makes you more defensive in a way, but it also makes you more vigilant and more alert, and it also makes you wiser. You know, it's a horrible, horrible kind of stigma cliche, but the only time you ever really learn something is if you experience it and you go through it the hard way. I think heartache is an essential tool to allow yourself to love and to be loved so much more. So, yeah, that was it. I mean, I had my first kiss, which was one question that I was asked in the meal when I was 17, and I had no idea what I was doing. I think I have got better since then. I would hope to think I've got better, but yeah. But the first time I fell in love was 19. It didn't last very long, but it taught me so much, and that person will be dear to me, you know, for a long time, but I no longer feel those feelings anymore. Any kind of trace of that has completely faded a couple of years ago, to be honest. I do think of them daily, and, you know, I wish them all the best. But as important as a first love is, it's not anywhere as important as the love that I have now, because I genuinely feel for the first time in my life that not only am I in love with somebody in the sense that I am just besotted with her, I just crave her voice. I love the sound of her voice. I love everything about her. I love the fact that we have such a multi-layered relationship, the fact that we can be totally earnest and serious with each other and help each other through our problems, but we can also help each other in a creative manner, and we can also just be flat out silly and goofy with one another. And I've never had a relationship that's stacked with so many levels and dimensions. It feels like a 3D relationship, if that makes sense, compared to the 2D relationships I've had in the past. So there's those two forces working together, which I never thought would ever happen. I never thought I would be head over heels in love with somebody and love somebody to the a matter of compromise. And what makes this love stand out more than my first is that I genuinely feel that there is two-way traffic going along this road, and it feels so good to give, and it feels so good to receive. To love is to